Part 15. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 141. Xiao Ding breathed a sigh of relief when he heard this. If Su Ren needed cash, he would have no choice but to borrow it. Okay, there is no problem at all. Don't worry about the crystal core. I will send it to you as soon as I collect it. Well, thank you very much. Someone helped to deal with it, and Su Ren was happy to be free, otherwise he would have sold so many things himself for a long time. Xiao Ding looked at his men, waved his hand and said, "Put everything away and go." "Yes, Chairman." After several people finished packing and left, Xiao Ding said, "Brother Su Ren, will we have lunch together later? I just have something to ask you for help with." Su Ren thought that Ling Qingxiu was still sleeping in his apartment. He had to wait until after dinner before going back. It would be unclear if someone found him. So he refused. "There's no need to eat. If there's anything you need, Chairman Xiao can just tell you. I'll help you wherever I can." Xiao Ding was grateful after hearing this. "Thank you, Brother Su, then I will tell the truth. I'm going to attend a gathering of the world's wealthy businessmen. The purpose is to reach a cooperation with Caesars Group, the world's largest equipment supplier. The location is on a private island in the East China Sea. You also know that if you go to a place like that without anyone to protect you, your life will be in someone else's hands. So I would like to ask you to protect me. After the matter is completed, I can give you 20% of my company's shares." This is the result of Xiao Ding's thinking for a day. As long as Su Ren agrees, he can take this opportunity to bind himself to Su Ren. 20% of the shares may seem like a lot to others, but in his opinion, as long as he can find Su Ren's protection, it's all worth it. After hearing this condition, Su Ren thought for a moment. It will definitely be difficult to obtain the materials required for future job transfer tasks. Or there are some materials that no one knows where to find. Having a force of your own seems to be a good choice. "Chairman Xiao, your Dingsheng Group is such a big company, can't you hire someone to protect you?" Hearing this, Xiao Ding shook his head and smiled bitterly. "The strongest people I can recruit are only level 7 or less than 50. They will come with me this time, but I'm not worried. This gathering will be attended by big groups and chambers of commerce from all over the world. They have the same purpose as me. If they kill me, I'm afraid I won't be able to come back." Su Ren nodded. Level 7 to 50 would be considered the top group of combatants in normal times. Such a being would be the overlord anywhere. However, at a gathering of this level, it is indeed not enough. "Wait a minute, why does Chairman Xiao think I'm better than the person you hired?" Su Ren was a little confused. Logically speaking, most people don't know his specific strength. After all, the country helps him hide his strength in every big event. Xiao Ding laughed when he heard this. "Brother Su Ren, what is the most important thing in this world besides strength? Of course it's money. Money can make all the difference. Regarding your matter, if you are willing to spend money and look for the right direction of investigation, you can still learn something. I am absolutely assured of your strength. Okay, please tell me the specific conditions of that island and the departure time." Xiao Ding heard this and knew that Su Ren had planned to help him, so he said excitedly, "On the 15th of this month, we will go to Beach City first, and then take a flying boat to the private island. We might stay up there for a week, and we'll come back after we've settled the matter. If someone dares to attack us, my men can solve it without you taking action. If you encounter something that can't be solved, you can take action again. Then there is also an awakening temple on the island." Su Ren asked. Xiao Ding nodded. "Of course there is, otherwise none of us would survive the night." "Okay, let me know when the time comes." "Okay, As for the monster crystal cores, we should be able to collect them all within 10 days. I have already doubled the price for purchasing the crystal cores. I think there are people out there who are willing to take the risk and go hunting. Suren dug a wormhole and stepped into it. After Suren left, Xiao Ding sighed. This space skill is too perverted. Yesterday he went to Bangza country in just one step, right? Thinking of this, a smile appeared on Xiao Ding's face. With Suren's help, this cooperation should be a sure thing. Outside the Longwu Guild boys' apartment. At this time, more than 10 people were standing outside Suren's apartment, and hundreds of people were watching curiously in the distance. Isn't that senior brother Su Xiao and the others? What are they doing? I don't know, who lives in this apartment. It seems that senior brother Su and the others are here to visit. No, who can ask senior brother Su Xiao to visit in person? This is a student apartment. I don't know. You'll know after a while. Everyone waited for a while, and suddenly someone from behind the crowd shouted. Let me go, isn't that senior sister Mu Hongxia? Why is she walking this way too? Everyone looked over after hearing this. Mu Hongxia, dressed in red, was seen walking towards everyone. Good morning, senior sister Mu. Good morning, senior sister Mu. Everyone gave way to the passage and greeted each other. Mu Hongxia nodded lightly and stepped in front of Su Xiao and others. Seeing this, Su Xiao bowed and said, I've met senior sister Mu. Mu Hongxia looked at Su Xiao and the others and said doubtfully. You are also here to see Suren. Su Xiao nodded and said. Sister, are you too? Well, let me ask him something. We are here to thank Junior Suren. If it weren't for him, we might not be able to make much progress in this life. Although losing limbs will not lead to death, the efficiency of leveling up will definitely be much slower than that of healthy people. Therefore, Suren's kindness to them is comparable to that of reborn parents. They must come over today to thank Suren in person anyway. That's right. Speaking of which, I should also thank him. Mu Hongxia did not explain what happened, but asked. How long have you been here? Isn't Suren here? We have just arrived. I just heard some movement inside. Junior Suren should be there. We don't dare to disturb him until he comes out, so we just wait here. Inside the apartment. Ling Qingxia was hiding behind the door with a red face, and now she didn't even dare to express her anger. As soon as she woke up, she found herself lying on the bed in Suren's bedroom. Then there were so many people standing outside. If so many people knew about the night she spent in Suren's room, she wouldn't know how to continue living in the Longwu Guild. Ling Qingxia couldn't help but said anxiously. Suren, please come back soon. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 142. What are you doing standing around here? Looking at the group of people gathered outside his house, Suren was a little confused. He had just come back from outside and wanted to use the wormhole to return to the house directly, but he remembered Wu Zhenjiang's last reminder. After thinking about it for a while, I decided to forget it, so as to avoid further fluctuations in the small world space. If something happened to the small world, he would really become a sinner. As for using it 4 times yesterday, it was purely an impulse. Junior brother Suren, do you live here? One student asked. Suren nodded and walked inside. Everyone quickly made way for Suren to pass. Thousands of students witnessed yesterday's horrific scene with their own eyes, and Suren definitely brought them a stronger sense of oppression than Wu Zhenyang. If they hadn't been banned from talking nonsense. The internet is definitely abuzz right now. A look killed a strong man close to rank 8 in an instant, at least that was how they felt at the time. Such a person is just a person who has just awakened. This is absolutely explosive news. Su Xiao and others heard the noise behind them and turned around to look at Suren in confusion. Eh? Junior brother Suren, are you not in the house? No, I left early in the morning. Then why are there footsteps in your room? When Su Xiao said this, he suddenly turned around and looked at the apartment and said loudly. It's broken, junior brother Suren, there is a thief in your room. Everyone looked towards the apartment when they heard this. Damn it, who is so bold as to sneak into junior brother Suren's apartment? Hey, there's something going on now. He's probably too scared to come out. Haha, there are so many people blocking the way. It's strange that he dares to come out. I want to see who is not afraid of death. When Ling Qingxiu heard these comments, she suddenly felt like the world was spinning and she was a little unsteady on her feet. It would be really embarrassing if he was discovered this time. Only then did Suren realize that Ling Qingxiu was in the house. He must have woken up, and then he didn't dare to come out. It's okay, you misunderstood. Suren hurriedly explained. My pet beast stayed in the house to help me look after the house. Stop talking about this, why did you come to see me? Su Xiao was confused, he clearly heard the sound of human footsteps. But since Suren said this, he didn't worry about it, but bowed solemnly and said. Thank you, junior brother Suren, for your kindness to our senior brothers and sisters yesterday. Su Xiao is unforgettable. If junior brother needs my help in the future, junior brother, just ask. Su Xiao will never refuse. The other people also bowed and bowed. I would like to thank junior brother Suren for your kindness in reincarnation. If you can find any use for me, junior brother, just ask. The words spoken by these people were sincere and there was absolutely no falsehood in them. Okay, we are all brothers and sisters in the same section, we should help each other. What happened yesterday is just a casual matter. Brothers, there is no need to pay such a big courtesy. Suren still felt quite happy after saving these people. At least they knew how to be grateful. The person he saved was not a white-eyed wolf, that was enough. Mu Hongxia looked at Su Xiao and the others and nodded silently. As a senior sister, she is very happy to see such a group of juniors who know how to repay kindness. The Longwu Guild needs such a group of people to build a future together. Senior sister, don't you have something to see Suren? Su Xiao looked at Mu Hongxia standing aside, a little curious as to why she came to Suren. Although Mu Hongxia is not the kind of person who rejects others from thousands of miles away, she is not an approachable person either. It was not only Su Xiao who was curious that she could take the initiative to find him, but also the other onlookers. Do you think senior sister Mu Hongxia has fallen in love with Suren? Senior sister has been single for so many years. No way. I heard that on the day of admission, junior sister Gulina and junior sister Ling Qingxiu were fighting at the door for junior Suren. Yes, I heard that too. It is said that in the end it was the president himself who took action to settle the matter. Senior Suren accounts for 2 of the 3 major goddesses in our guild. Are you still not satisfied after hugging them from left to right? Can't you leave one for the seniors? Stop dreaming. How can senior sister Mu Hongxia like you? I'm pretty much the same. You can pull him down, the Wang Wuhua next door may not even like you. After hearing these discussions, Suren's head was full of black lines. Whose rumor is this? When did Gulina and Ling Qingxiu fight over him? What the hell is Mu Hongxia? In a real sense, this is the first time the 2 of them have met. Mu Hongxia glanced coldly at the people discussed just now. If you dare to talk nonsense again, I will pull out your tongue right now. Leave far away. Mu Hongxia's anger caused half of the people watching to disperse in an instant. The other half looked at them from a distance and did not dare to get close. Junior brother Su, if you are fine, don't stay here. Why don't you go level up soon? You will soon participate in trials to compete for a spot in the World Championships. Do you still want to be bullied like yesterday? Yes, senior sister, we will go to level up right away. Su Xiao glanced at Suren and Mu Hongxia strangely, and then left quickly with the junior brothers. The reason why Mu Hongxia wanted to scare away these people was mainly because what happened in the secret realm yesterday was a bit embarrassing. If they knew about her being frightened and fainted by several monsters, then her senior sister's reputation will be ruined. Ling Qingxiu, who was hiding behind the door, listened nervously to the conversation outside. Is it true that senior sister Mu Hongxia wants to snatch Suren from me as they said? What should I do? Ling Qingxiu thought about her advantages and found that she was inferior to Mu Hongxia in every aspect. In terms of beauty, the two are almost the same. In terms of strength, the gap between her and Mu Hongxia is huge. When it comes to money, I heard that the Mu family is also a wealthy family and is much stronger than her family. My only advantage may be that I am younger. The more Ling Qingxiu thought about it, the more she felt inferior, as if she had been completely defeated. Mu Hongxia didn't know that there were people in the room thinking wildly. She was just curious about how Suren sent her out of the secret realm yesterday. Junior Suren, did you encounter an abyss demon in the secret realm? It was covered in darkness and carrying a black steel pipe. It's very strong, I think it's almost level 800. In the pet space, Steel shrank his head when he heard this. Damn it, why did this little girl come to my door? Haha, little Hizu, you are going to die, someone else will take care of it. The Ice Dragon King smiled happily on the sidelines. Skasa, isn't it the same for you? I remember it was you who scared the little girl to faint, right? Shika also took the opportunity to mock. She was particularly annoyed by this dragon from the beginning. He talked a lot and liked to pester her to chat. When the Ice Dragon King heard this, his smile suddenly froze. Ha ha ha. Seeing this, Shika clapped her hands happily. Cair covered her head with a headache on her face. If Suren hadn't been in charge of these guys, they would have lost their temper. A fight can start here immediately. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 143. No, Senior Sister Mu, did you see it wrong? I didn't see anything. Regarding Mu Hongxia's question, Suren could only pretend to be dumbfounded. It is impossible to answer her, that thing is my pet beast, it must have scared you because of its playfulness. Didn't you see it? It's impossible, it's still attacking me. Mu Hongxia recalled the situation she encountered in the secret realm yesterday. The Abyss Demon will definitely unleash its skills on her. Otherwise, she wouldn't have used the forbidden technique to cause mental damage to herself. But looking at Suren's confused expression, Mu Hongxia reluctantly believed it. Then have you seen a group of strange things, including stones, sand, water, etc. They are transporting equipment and materials on their own, as if they are alive. Mu Hongxia felt extremely weird when she thought about that scene. Senior Sister Mu, are you sick? Why do I feel like you are talking nonsense? How could there be those things in the Tianqian secret realm? Suren suppressed the smile in his heart and tried to show concern on the outside. He was really afraid of laughing out loud. Shika snorted upon seeing this. Oh, man, you can't even blush when you lie to a woman. There is nothing good about men. The Ice Dragon King rolled his eyes at her, but when Shika saw it, he mocked her again. What are you looking at? You are not even a man, you are not a human being. You. The Ice Dragon King couldn't scold her, so he could only mutter. It's a male dragon after all. Okay, stop talking, it gives me a headache. Cair really couldn't stand it anymore.
As soon as Cair spoke, all the pet beasts did not dare to speak again. However, the exchange of eyes and movements did not stop, and the battlefield changed from sound to silence. Listening to Suren's answer, Mu Hongxia began to doubt her life. Is it possible that I have been practicing for too long recently and have hallucinations? Yes, senior sister Mu, you should go back and have a good rest. Don't be too tired. Mu Hongxia frowned and shook her head. No, junior brother, where did you find me? It seems to be the 11th floor. That's right. I'm clearly leveling on the 9th floor. How can I go to the 11th floor? And I saw a dragon dozens of meters long. The pressure emanating from its body was even more terrifying than the president. I feel as small and powerless as a speck of dust in front of it. Why? Suren sighed and said, Senior sister, how about I take you to a psychological consultation? I suspect you have a mental problem. If there really is such a terrifying monster, do you think I can still take you out of the secret realm? This is the small world of the Dragon Martial Arts Guild, senior sister, how did those things get in? If that really happens, the president and the others will be alarmed, right? Yes or no? Mu Hongxia's frown deepened. Today I came here to thank Suren for saving his life and take the opportunity to find out what happened yesterday. Why do I feel like I have a mental problem now after talking about it? Could it be that I really saw it wrong yesterday and was trying to scare myself? Seeing this, Shika couldn't stand it anymore and complained silently. Little girl, he is pwing you. Senior sister, you want to see a psychiatrist? Oh, don't you want a psychiatrist? I'll take you there. Suren looked at her seriously and asked. Mu Hongxia shook her head. Forget it, I'm sorry to disturb my junior brother, I'll go back and rest for 2 days. Maybe I've really had a mental problem recently. Mu Hongxia knocked her head and left here mumbling as she walked. Finally gone. Suren patted his chest and let out a long sigh of relief. Glancing around, I saw that most of the onlookers had left. Suren quietly opened the door and walked in. Why don't you sleep more? Suren asked looking at Ling Qingxiu's tired body. There are so many people outside, I can't sleep. Ling Qingxiu's cheeks were hot and she hesitated. After I fell asleep, you didn't touch me, right? No, I swear, I never touched you. Suren is particularly sincere. Then why am I in your bed? That doesn't count. You really haven't touched me. Really, I promise, I'd be a beast if I ever touched you. Just kidding, how could Suren be that kind of person? You must ask for the other party's opinion on such matters. Ling Qingxiu glared at Suren when she heard this. Do you have to be so honest? She didn't feel right until she said this, but the words had already been said. Ling Qingxiu could only cover her face and quickly opened the door and ran away. Her face will be cooked if she stays here any longer. A question mark slowly rose above Suren's head. Did I miss something? Seeing this, Shika sighed and said. Oh, master, you are really in peace with yourself. You don't even want such a beautiful little girl to come to your door. What a pity, what a pity. If it were me, I would have taken her down long ago. Suren glanced at the pet space and said speechlessly. Will you die if you don't speak? My master is still cruel to me, but I just told the truth. Shika pretended to be sad and wiped away tears that were not there. If the master doesn't like it, he won't say anything. Why are you so cruel? Suren really can't do anything to her. She can reply you 10 times if you say something to her. Suren really doubted how a level 300 boss like her had such a high IQ. And she seems to know a lot. She can't speak to the Ice Dragon King who is more than 800 levels, and Shika is not afraid of it. The Ice Dragon King who often quarrels with her is speechless.
Zika, you're not some big shot's trumpet, are you? Suren asked curiously. What are you talking about, master? Shika is just a miserable woman at level 300. She is not a big boss. Hey, life is hard. Speaking of this, Shika hid her face again and pretended to cry. Stop pretending, do you have tears? Seeing that she was exposed, Zika was not embarrassed, but instead smiled and said. Hee, the master discovered it. Suren. Forget it, it didn't matter what her identity was, Suren didn't bother to ask. Anyway, she was his pet now. It is impossible to betray yourself. Shika glanced at Suren with her head raised, and then shook her head slightly. Some memories that did not belong to her seemed to increase in her mind. She didn't know whether this was good or bad. For the next 10 days, basically nothing happened. Suren would occasionally go out to help Ling Qingxiu level up. With Suren taking action, her level naturally increased rapidly. In just a few days, she reached level 100 and could start completing level 2 tasks. Ling Qingxiu's talent was only 4 stars, but with Suren's help, her level was ahead of everyone at the same level. This makes other people at the same level envious. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 144. Gulina occasionally came to see Suren, but Suren deliberately kept a certain distance from her, which made her a little sad. But her character is the type that doesn't give up easily. After being sad for a while, he started looking for Suren again. As for Mu Hongxia, after leaving that day, I heard that she went back home and saw a psychiatrist for treatment for a period of time. When Suren heard the news, he almost laughed out loud. He didn't expect Mu Hongxia to really believe it. But that's normal. Who would have thought that so many terrifying monsters could appear in a level-up secret realm? September 10th. Suren was lying in the apartment looking up various information about Abyss when the doorman suddenly called. Suren? Someone is looking for you at the door, saying that Dingsheng Group gave you something. Okay, I get it. Suren got out of bed and ran towards the door quickly. Outside the small world of Longwu Guild, Xiao Ding and his men stood waiting at the door in person, holding 3 black boxes in their hands. Seeing Suren coming out, Xiao Ding rushed to greet him. Brother Suren, we have lived up to our trust. We have collected all the high-level monster crystal cores you want, 35 in total. So much. Suren was a little surprised. After all, in his imagination, it would be nice to have 30. Well, there must be a brave man under the heavy reward. After all, it cost double the price. Suren nodded and took the box, opened it and took a look. Crystal nuclei of various colors lie quietly inside, emitting a charming light. Thank you very much. Xiao Ding waved his hand and said with a smile, it should be. Brother Suren, I will come here to pick you up at 8 o'clock in the morning on the 15th. Please be prepared. If you have any other requirements, please tell me in advance so that I can make arrangements for you. Suren thought for a while, shook his head and said. I have nothing to prepare, you just come when the time comes. Okay, I'll leave first. After Xiao Ding left, Suren put all the crystal nuclei into the pet space. Cair, it should be enough for you to reach level 800, right? Cair nodded, picked up a crystal core and ate it. Sister Cair, is it delicious? The Ice Dragon King has been craving for this thing for a long time. Every time he watches Cair eat it, he is inevitably a little greedy. Bad time. Cair ate each mouthful quickly. Suren glanced at it, smiled and walked back. Just as he was about to step into the small world, a man walked out, Lin Shengen. When Lin Shengen saw Suren, a flash of greed flashed in his eyes. Junior Suren, hello.
Lin Shengan smiled and stretched out his hand to say hello, staring directly at Suren. That expression looked like he was about to eat Suren. Suren frowned and glanced at him, then ignored him and walked straight into the small world. He felt a strange aura on this person, and he felt a sense of repulsion for no reason. So Suren had no intention of shaking hands with him. Ho ho! Lin Shengan grinned as he watched Suren walk into the small world portal. A sinister aura escaped from his body. Suren, I'll come to you when I swallow something more. The 9-color divine phoenix is mine. No one can take it away. After Lin Shengan finished speaking, he walked towards the outside of Kyoto. On the way back to the apartment, Caier said while eating. Brother, that person just now, I'm a little scared. Huh? Why? Suren asked. Lin Shengan is just a level 5 professional, so Caier shouldn't be afraid of him. I don't know, I always feel like he's scary. But I shouldn't be afraid of him after eating these crystal nuclei. Okay, hurry up and eat. I'm also curious about what will happen to you when you reach level 800. By the time she returned to the apartment, Caier had eaten all the crystal cores. At this time, she had transformed into a phoenix form and was lying in the beast space. All the feathers on his body are shining brightly. Taking in such a huge amount of energy made her body glow. The Ice Dragon King and other pet beasts had to stay away because the flame Caier unconsciously radiated might hurt them. Caier, have you upgraded? Suren found that she could no longer see her panel information. Brother, I'm so sleepy, I might have to take a nap. After Caier finished speaking, her whole body began to curl up, and the flames around her gradually became restrained and disappeared. A few minutes later, an egg with 9 colors, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, black, white, and black appeared in Suren's pet space. Suren clicked on its properties and took a look. 9-color divine phoenix egg. Master, Suren. Level, divine beast. Physical attack. Magic attack. HP. Physical defense / magic defense. Skill : Status, hatching, 99 days, 23 hours, and 59 minutes. Explanation: the 9-color divine phoenix egg of the ancient mythical beast is undergoing transformation. 9-color divine phoenix. Suren remembered that Caier used to be called 5-colored phoenix, and it seemed that she had really evolved this time. It's just that the 100 days of incubation time has to wait a long time. Several intelligent pet beasts were staring at the egg curiously. Suren ordered. Take good care of her. Don't worry, Master, leave it to me. I will take good care of Sister Caier. The Ice Dragon King patted his chest with his paws and promised. Go away, stinky dragon, what will you take care of? Take care of yourself first. Shika pushed it away and held the egg in her arms. You. Humph, I don't have the same experience as a woman like you. The Ice Dragon King was extremely angry. Steel on the side pulled the Ice Dragon King and said. Brother Long, don't be angry, it's just an egg. We have our own, we play our own games. Shika glanced at the two of them and cursed. Get away, you two idiots. Why? Suren stopped looking at them. Now the more he looks at the nightmares, the more cute they become. At least it's not noisy, and it works reliably. A few days passed quickly. Suren told Wu Zhenyang and Ling Qingxiu that he was going out. When entering that island, there is no cell phone signal, lest they look around and find it. Early in the morning on the 15th, Suren was already waiting at the door. After a while, Xiaoding drove over to pick up Suren. After getting in the car, Xiaoding handed Suren a mask made of white jade. Brother Suren, wear it, otherwise there may be unnecessary trouble. You still have a reward of $5 billion on your back. When it reaches the high seas, we, the Dragon Kingdom, can't control it. Suren nodded, took the mask and put it on smoothly. Let's go to the teleportation array now. Several people I invited to protect me are already waiting for us in Beach City. After Xiaoding finished speaking, he started the car and drove towards the Kyoto teleportation array. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 145. On the way, Xiaoding suddenly asked. Brother Suren, do you know something? Suren raised his eyelids. What's up? Kyoto doesn't seem to be peaceful recently. Dozens of professionals have been missing in succession over the past 10 days. And they are all professionals with level 4 or above. There have been people who disappeared in the past, but most of them died at the hands of monsters because they went to level up in dungeons. Xiaoding paused and continued. This disappearance is a little weird. Most of those professionals disappeared at home. There was no trace of a fight at the scene of the crime. It was like it disappeared into thin air. The Ministry of Defense started an investigation a few days ago, but after all this time there has been no progress. This incident has caused panic in the entire Kyoto city. Many people have left Kyoto and sought refuge elsewhere. Some people say it's haunted, some people say there are monsters that eat people, it's all there. The more rumors spread, the more evil it becomes. Even I'm a little scared. I just took this opportunity to leave Kyoto for a while. After Suren heard what Xiaoding said, for some reason he immediately remembered the scene when he met Lin Shenyan that day. That man seemed to exude a destructive aura. Brother Suren, from your perspective, what is going on? Suren shook his head. Have no idea. He is not a detective, so this kind of matter can only be left to the official investigation. Kyoto is the capital of the Dragon Kingdom, so it is impossible for the other party to continue to be arrogant. No matter what happens, it will be caught. The entire journey was silent. When the two arrived at the teleportation array square, it was already crowded with people. Judging from the panic expressions of these people, they probably want to flee to other places. Xiaoding frowned and said. It seems that the impact of this matter is greater than imagined. The two waited for almost more than an hour before it was their turn. After setting foot on the teleportation array and choosing a city, in a flash of light, the two of them arrived at Coastal City. I don't know who installed and invented this directional teleportation array. I'm afraid this speed is comparable to your space skills, right? Xiaoding sighed and walked down from the teleportation array with Suren. Suren nodded, faster than mine. Suren checked the information on this kind of teleportation array and found that it existed before the establishment of the Dragon Kingdom. Like the Awakening Temple, it was built by unknown forces. There is no information from any country in the world to find out who built them. It was as if it appeared out of nowhere. Moreover, the longest time that countries in the world can trace their origins is 1,000 years. All the data from 1,000 years ago are not available, and there is a huge gap in human history. Or is there no history from 1,000 years ago at all? Without thinking about this, Suren looked around at the surrounding environment. Coastal City is the easternmost city in Dragon Kingdom, backed by the East China Sea. Among all the capitals in Dragon Kingdom, Coastal City ranks second in strength, second only to Kyoto. And every year, a large number of professionals die in the coastal city as it prepares against monster attacks in the ocean. This is also one of the most dangerous places in any big city. Standing in the teleportation square, you can smell the fishy smell of the sea breeze even if you take a slight sniff. Let's go to the flying boat transportation center. They are already waiting there. Brother Suren, these people I invited are all from Donghai Academy. They may be arrogant in character. Please bear with them. Suren nodded upon hearing this. Donghai Academy seems to have stricter entry requirements than Longwu Guild. they never take the initiative to recruit people. If someone wants to enter Donghai Academy, they must be recommended by a big family and pass the examination before they can enter. It is precisely because of this that any random person in Donghai Academy is related to the big family. The reason why Donghai Academy is so powerful is because it is inextricably linked to many aristocratic families. If Longwu Guild is a paradise for students from poor families, then Donghai Academy is a paradise for plutocratic families. The two major forces target completely different groups. Fiazhu Transportation Center. Two middle-aged men in their 40s and 7 or 8 teenagers were waiting at the door. "Brother, why hasn't Xiao Ding come yet? You've been waiting for him for almost an hour. I'll ask him again later when he comes. Are you really considering our brothers as bodyguards?" Just when the two were impatient, a taxi stopped on the side of the road. Xiao Ding and Su Ren walked out of the car. Seeing the two people coming, the boss Cao Bufan coldly snorted. "Director Xiao, are you really busy? What time is it? Is this how your Dingsheng group does business?" Xiao Ding quickly apologized and explained. "Sorry, it's my fault. Something happened in Kyoto recently. There were too many people at the teleportation array, so I had to wait for more than an hour." Cao Bufan saw that he had a good attitude. After all, he was still in an employment relationship, so his attitude became calmer. But when he saw Suran, Cao Bufan frowned and said, "Who is this? You didn't say you wanted to protect others, right?" Xiao Ding smiled and said, "Oh, this is a friend of mine. You don't need to worry about him. His strength is pretty good." "Humph, there's nothing shameful about wearing a mask in broad daylight." Cao Bufan snorted coldly, and then said impatiently, "Let's go, the flying boat will set off immediately." At this time, Xiao Ding also discovered several teenagers following Cao Bufan. "Elder Cao, who are these people behind you?" "A few juniors from the academy heard that I am going to escort you to a gathering of the world's wealthy businessmen, and they want to go with me to see the scenery." This. Xiao Ding was a little unhappy and said, "Elder Cao, we agreed to let you bring a few more powerful professionals, you." "Huh? Boss Xiao, are you questioning my brother's strength? Our brothers are enough to protect you. As for these juniors, you don't need to worry about them." Xiao Ding was slightly angry when he heard this. He spent billions to invite these two people. It didn't matter that these two people didn't respect him, but they just took people along without his consent. These two people didn't take his employer seriously at all. Seeing Xiao Ding not moving, Cao Bohuang, the second eldest brother on the side, said coldly, "Boss Xiao, you didn't say anything when you took our brothers privately, right?" "What? We can't bring anyone with us." Xiao Ding wanted to say that he spent the money and he was the employer. But after thinking about it, he let it go. There was no need for him to offend the two of them. These two people are both elders of Donghai Academy. With various connections, his Dingsheng group may not be their opponent. "Okay, let's go." Xiao Ding took Suren to the flying boat. "Haha, have you seen the children? Chairman of Dingsheng group, so what? You don't have to listen to our two brothers." Several teenagers behind them laughed at the same time. "Ha ha ha ha, you are worthy of being Elder Cao." Cao Bufan chuckled and said, "Let's go, get on the flying boat, and I'll take you to broaden your horizons." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 146. The laughter of these people showed no sign of restraining, and Xiao Ding couldn't help but sigh when he heard their laughter. He and his younger brother started from scratch, and were not favored by the disciples of these aristocratic families. Now that they are asked to do so, they are naturally made to face difficulties in every possible way. There is no strength in this world, everything is empty, no matter how rich you are, in the eyes of others, you are just someone who has been taken advantage of. I'm sorry, Brother Suran, I didn't know it would be like this. Xiao Ding looked at Suran apologetically. Suran was implicated in this matter, and he felt a little sorry. It's just a clown, why should you care? Suran chuckled and said. Originally I was planning to travel and relax, but now I'm hoping something will happen. How could Suran really not mind? He was very vindictive. If they were not still in the Dragon Kingdom, Suran could kill them with one strike. The person who dares to show off to him has not yet been born. The flying boat flew all the way to the East China Sea. This flying boat was private and its route was specific. Therefore, apart from the staff, Suran and his group were the only ones on board the flying boat. The two brothers Cao Bufan and a few teenagers were watching the scenery on the outer deck of the flying boat. They had no intention of talking to Xiao Ding to discuss their trip. Xiao Ding was too lazy to talk to them. Fortunately, he asked Suran to come with him on this trip. Otherwise, it would be hard for him to imagine how his employer would be treated. Now that Suran is by his side, he doesn't panic at all. But he didn't panic, but Cao Bufan and the other two were a little confused. Cao Bohuang asked. Brother, do you think the person next to Xiao Ding is a master? I don't think he is ready to beg us brothers at all. Cao Bufan glanced at the two people chatting in the cabin and said softly. It shouldn't be possible. If Xiao Ding could hire a master, how could he still spend so much money to hire our brothers? I think he just wants to show off as the chairman of Dingsheng Group. Humph, I wonder if he will come to beg us when we get to Liulai Island later. Brother, what if he doesn't come to the island? Cao Bufan smiled sideways. Not coming? Then let him be humiliated. Our mission is to keep him alive anyway. As long as he doesn't die, others can't say what we did was wrong. Hey, Brother Yingming, I'll see what he does later. 7 or 8 hours later, when the sky was getting dark, the flying boat finally arrived at its destination. Suren walked out of the cabin and looked around. Below is the endless ocean, and the end of the sky in the distance seems to be connected to the sea. The blue that can be seen everywhere fills this world. In the sea, an island with various colors suddenly appeared in Suren's field of vision. You can also see people surging between various buildings on the island. At this time, Xiao Ding also came out and introduced Suren with a smile. This is Liulai Island, the destination of our trip. The island is named because of its colors, it is fully equipped and privately owned. This place is not under the control of any country. You only need to abide by the rules customized by the island owner. For rich people, this is definitely a paradise. While the two were talking, the flying boat had already arrived over Liulai Island. An invisible light curtain stopped Feijo. Xiao Ding explained. This is the island's defensive formation. Even 2 or 3 rank 8 professionals cannot break it in a short time. Of course, it can also block the wind and waves. Wouldn't it be useless to attack longer? Suren said doubtfully. Haha, there's another thing you don't know. It takes 7 hours to fly from the nearest city to Liulai Island. For such a long time, Liulai Island only needs to hold on for a few hours and wait for dark. So it was designed to delay time. Suren nodded and then asked. Have you ever been attacked before? Yes, and more than once, but they all ended in failure. No force has so many 8th level professionals, and 9th level professionals are even more impossible. Unless some country wants to deal with Liulai Island, but this is impossible, there is no need. At this time, the light curtain suddenly disappeared, someone must have communicated. The flying boat landed slowly, and the light curtain opened again.
Is this Liulai Island? It's nothing special. A young man from Donghai Academy said with some disdain. In his opinion, this place was nothing special compared to other islands. Several people got off the flying boat, and a manager came over and said with a smile, "Welcome to Liulai Island. Please pay a deposit of 1 billion per person to go to the island. Thank you for your cooperation." What? Everyone has a deposit of 1 billion, are you sure you are serious? The young man who just spoke exclaimed, how could he possibly come up with so much money? This scene attracted people from a distance. Haha, where are you from? You dare to go to Liulai Island even if you can't afford a deposit of 1 billion. At first glance, he looks like a little brat who has never seen the world. Why does the island owner invite everyone? Hearing these taunting voices, the young man suddenly felt his face burning, and he couldn't help but look at Cao Bufan and the two for help. Cao Bufan looked at Xiao Ding and said, "Boss Xiao, please pay the deposit quickly." Xiao Ding heard this and said calmly, "Elder Cao, you brought them here. I didn't invite them. Isn't their deposit your own business? You." Xiao Ding, are you sure you want to do this? Cao Bufan's voice became colder and he called Xiao Ding by his name. Xiao Ding simply wanted to give their brothers a blow. But who is he? Their brothers are all powerful players who have reached level 7 to level 50. How could you be so angry? The relationship between the two parties instantly became tense. At this time, a powerful voice came from the air. Conflicts are prohibited in public areas on the island. If discovered, the deposit will be confiscated and everyone will be expelled from Liulai Island. A majestic and angry man descended from the sky and looked at the few people coldly. The power it exuded made everyone around it take a few steps back. Suren looked at this person and was slightly surprised. This person is a level 8 powerhouse? I didn't expect to meet one as soon as I landed on the island. It seems that this island is really a crouching tiger, hidden dragon. No wonder Xiao Ding was worried and had to take him with him. And according to what the big man meant, he just said that there should be no conflicts in public areas. It doesn't say that conflicts cannot occur in non-public areas. The meaning here is intriguing. When the Cao brothers saw this man, their arrogant attitude became respectful. The big man looked at Xiao Ding, obviously he knew Xiao Ding. "Boss Xiao, since you brought this person, don't make it difficult for me." When Xiao Ding heard this, even if he was unhappy with the Cao brothers, he could only obediently hand over the deposit. Upon seeing this, the big man flew away. "Who is this person?" Suren asked. "This is Hong Daoan, one of the two powerful men under the owner of Liulai Island. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife." Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 147. This person is known as an unparalleled attacker and has the strongest attack power among his peers. The other person is King Fudo Ming, Wang Ming. Wang Ming is good at defense. Wang Ming once fought two powerful players at level 8 alone. In the end, the opponents exhausted their mana and failed to kill him. These two are the most capable subordinates of the owner of Liulai Island. They maintain the order on the island. After Xiao Ding finished speaking, he glanced at Cao Bufan and others, then looked at Suren and said, "Let's go and check into the hotel we booked first. There should be a big party tonight." As for Cao Bufan and the others, Xiao Ding was no longer prepared to talk to them. The money he spent on inviting them was nothing more than dog food. If he had known that Cao Bufan and the two were such people, Xiao Ding would not have been able to invite them even if he died. Suren nodded and left with him. Cao Bushuan was very upset now that Xiao Ding dared to leave without caring about their brothers. After all, they are not qualified to go to the island. Only people invited by the island owner can move on the island, including people brought by the invitees.
Xiao Ding doesn't care about them now. They can't move around on the island, and it's impossible for them to even move in. Brother, I think Xiao Ding is getting more and more arrogant. I don't know who gave him the courage. What should we do? Although Cao Bufan was very angry now, he still calmly said. Let's pretend to surrender to him first, otherwise it will be difficult for us to move. He also didn't expect why Xiao Ding dared not take them with him. Originally this was the method they used to blackmail Xiao Ding, but now it's useless. Instead, his brother fell into passivity. What? Brother, do you mean we still have to beg him? What else? Without him, we would be kicked out soon. Cao Bushuan said coldly. Okay, when we get out of Liulai Island, I want him to know that it's useless to have money, and it's bullshit if he doesn't have strength. Don't worry, we won't make it easy for him when he returns to Seaside City. There are not many people in Seaside City who dare to pretend like this to our brothers. The two of them waved their hands and chased towards Suren and the two men with a few teenagers behind them. Along the way, Suren saw people of all colors walking through the streets. Everyone looks very aristocratic, and they look like someone who has been in power all year round or is extremely wealthy. Every store here has a minimum cost of 1 million. Of course, to you, these are just small sums. Suren now holds hundreds of billions of funds, which is nothing. The negotiation meeting we are going to attend will be held in 3 days, during which we can wander around as we please. They're coming. Suren looked behind him and said softly. Xiao Ding snorted coldly and looked back. They don't have my invitation letter, so they can't stay in the hotel, no matter how much money they have. Just watch, they will come to beg me later. As soon as Xiao Ding finished speaking, Cao Bufan quickly rushed up with his people. Boss Xiao, it was my brother who was wrong just now. You have a lot, so please don't mind. Cao Bufan had a smile on his face, as if he was completely different from before. Xiao Ding looked at the young men behind them and said coldly. Elder Cao, I don't mean to go against your Donghai Academy, but what you do is too disrespectful of me, Mr. Xiao. I have already said that this trip is very dangerous. You have to bring some young people here. If something happens, who will be responsible? What do you mean? You say we are a burden. A young man said angrily. They are geniuses no matter what. Although they are not as good as the two elders, they are still geniuses of rank 5. Where do you usually go that are not surrounded by stars? Xiao Ding dared to look down on them now. Shut up. Cao Bufan glared at him. Elder. The young man still refused to accept it. I told you to shut up and apologize to Boss Xiao. Cao Bufan's voice was as cold as ice, but it was unclear who he was targeting. The young man turned his head to the side. There was no way he would apologize to Xiao Ding. Cao Bufan said helplessly. Boss Xiao, this is our fault. Our original intention is just to open the eyes of young people. We definitely have no intention of disrespecting you. Look, now that we are all on the island, and you also need someone to protect you, how about we reconcile? Cao Bufan deliberately emphasized the need for protection. The purpose is to remind Xiao Ding that they are interdependent and no one can leave the other. At this point, Xiao Ding also knew that it was time for them to step down. Otherwise, these people will embarrass him when he returns to Beach City. Although Suren is strong, Suren is not his subordinate. It is impossible for him to ask Suren to help with everything. Elder Cao, I hope you can listen to my opinion on everything on the island and stop making arbitrary decisions. Hearing this, Cao Bushuan's eyes turned cold, but he didn't let Xiao Ding see it. Cao Bufan secretly clenched his fists, gritted his teeth and nodded. I understand, thank you Boss Xiao for reminding me. Okay then, let's go and check in first. Xiao Ding took Suren forward. Cao Bufan and Cao Bufan looked at each other with murderous intent in their eyes. Xiao Ding really thought their brothers were worthless and dared to speak to them in a scolding tone. As for the other young men, looking at Xiao Ding was like looking at a dead person. The group of people wandered around the street for a while, and then checked in at a hotel. Please show me the invitation. 10 million per person per night. There are 10 of you. You need to pay 500 million in 5 days. Looking at the high price, Suren wondered how rich the owner of Liulai Island was. Just a single floor tile in a place like this is enough for an ordinary person to live for a lifetime, right? Not even an inch of land or an inch of money seems to be enough to describe its luxury. In a double room, Xiao Ding said to Suren, "Brother Suren, I will take you out for fun later, and I will pay for all the expenses. Although the things here are expensive, everything is genuine. If there are any fake ones, you will make a fortune. Liulai Island will compensate you 10 times. So you can buy with confidence. You can basically buy rare treasures from all over the world here. There should be a lot of the monster cores you want here." Before Suren could speak, the Ice Dragon King in the beast space spoke first. "Master, can you buy me a crystal core to try to?" "It depends. If the price is right, I can buy you a few." Anyway, Suren had no use for the money. Since he could spend it, he could just spend it casually. Xiao Ding called Cao Bufan and others, and the group left the hotel and walked to the street. The first stop for the group of people when they went out was at a place called Liulafang. Xiao Ding smiled slightly and said, "I haven't been to a place like this for a long time. Now that I think about it, I really miss those wonderful times. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife." Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 148. Suren gave him a strange look, feeling that there was no need to describe it. Wouldn't it be too perverted? Perhaps sensing something was wrong in the atmosphere, Xiao Ding quickly explained. "It's not what you think. Haha, Boss Xiao, we are all men, we understand." Even Cao Bufan made a joke. "I'm not talking about visiting a brothel, I'm talking about gambling on stones. That's how I started my business back then, and it took so many years to establish Dingsheng Group." Hearing this, Suren was a little curious. Is there still such a thing as gambling on stones in this world? Jade is not valuable in this world, and almost no one will buy it. So Suren really wants to see what gambling in this world is like. "Brother Su, do you want to go in and play?" Xiao Ding looked at Suren and asked. This scene made the two Cao Bufan brothers look at Suren, who was wearing a mask. Both of them were guessing who this person named Su was, and Xiao Ding actually wanted to ask for his opinion when he came out to play. The two of them thought about the big family named Su, but they couldn't think of anyone who was qualified to make Xiao Ding put down his posture like this. You must know that with the relationship network and status of their brothers, Xiao Ding would dare to ignore them, let alone others. So the two of them became more and more curious about Suren's identity. Suren nodded, "It's good to go in and have a look." Seeing that Suren agreed, Xiao Ding smiled and said, "Okay, it just so happens that I can show Brother Su my unique stone gambling skills." Several people entered Liulafang in a mighty manner. Inside is a magnificent palace-like hall. Every 5 meters in the hall, there is a stone half a meter high or even more than half a meter high. A large channel in the middle separates these stones from left to right. These stones come in all kinds and look no different from ordinary stones. There are dozens of people of various colors choosing among the stone spaces. The people at Liulakan will not interfere with the guests looking at the stones. They will only come forward to help the guests after they like a particular stone. Director Xiao, what can be found in such a big stone? Suren looked at the stones lined up in the hall and asked curiously. There is a stone in the middle of the hall that is even 3 meters high and 1 meter long. Many people were looking around the stone. I didn't even know that, so I thought he was some big shot. Cao Bohuang muttered softly. Xiao Ding turned around and glared at him, then explained to Suren. There are two kinds of things we can mine from the bet stone, one of which is the energy raw stone. Brother Su must be familiar with this thing, right? Suren nodded. He naturally knows about the raw energy stone. All transportation, city defense, etc. need this thing. What about the second one? The second thing is the god of gambling gold. There are three metals with extremely high defensive power in this world, namely divine gold, black gold and black gold. The first two of these three things, no matter which one is the size of a fist, are worth over 100 million. It's said to be gambling on divine gold, but in fact it's more about gambling on mysterious gold. Divine gold is basically hard to come across. After Xiao Ding finished speaking, Suren understood. He had seen these three metals when he was in Sin City. Especially the armor made of Suanjin, its defensive power is really terrifying, even a rank 7 master can't do anything with it. Suren remembered that the man named Zhu Huang used his sword to attack the same point countless times before breaking through the defense of the black gold armor. Xiongda spent all his family property on building that black gold armor. Let's take a look first. Brother Su, if you have a stone you like, I can help you take a look. Xiao Ding knew that with Suren's current assets, he might not like to play with this kind of thing. He was so crazy about betting on stones back then, but now he is no longer interested in it. Once you have money, you no longer have the crazy gambler mentality of wanting to get rich. Boss Xiao, can you hold your eyes for my two brothers? The two brothers Cao Bufan looked at the stones and were obviously moved. In terms of strength, Xiao Ding is not as good as them, but in terms of gambling on stones, Xiao Ding is definitely better than them. Xiao Ding's ability to make his fortune through this means that he has something special about him. Although the two are members of a large family, their assets are not as rich as Xiao Ding's. They don't dislike the fact that they have a lot of money. Now that they have the opportunity, they naturally want to make a small fortune through this. Xiao Ding nodded slightly when he heard this and said, I can look at the stones for you, but I can't guarantee 100% whether I will make a loss or a profit. It can't be said that it only depends on skill and experience. In many cases, there is also a certain amount of luck. Cao Bufan nodded quickly, we know. As long as Boss Xiao helps take a look at it. When the two of them saw Xiao Ding agreeing, they immediately ran excitedly to the stone beside them and started looking at it. Suren looked at the rocks around him and used the river god skill on a whim. Under Suren's control, the invisible water vapor penetrated into a 1-meter-high stone in front of him. The next moment, Suren felt a palm-sized raw energy stone hidden in the middle of the stone based on the feedback from the water vapor. It's really good. Suren was a little excited. Although he doesn't have the clairvoyance ability in those novels, his ability to control water vapor can also identify what's inside. Brother Su, do you like this stone? Xiao Ding asked curiously when he saw Suren stopped in front of the stone. Boss Xiao, how big an energy raw stone do you think is in this stone? They are now on the left side of the hall. The stone here is the energy stone of gambling, and the stone on the right is the sacred gold of gambling. Xiao Ding stepped forward and touched the stone, then carefully observed the surroundings. Then he slowly said, this stone is smooth and delicate on the outside, but upon closer inspection there are certain flaws. Judging from the texture and direction of the entire stone, I guess the raw energy stone inside is no more than the size of 2 palms. Xiao Ding glanced at the price tag of this stone, which was 89.99 million. Then he shook his head and said, if this stone is not good, it will be a loss. Suren glanced at him in surprise. I had to open it to see clearly what was inside. Xiao Ding was actually able to draw similar conclusions through observation. he is indeed unique in this aspect of gambling on stones. Brother Su, how about we change the piece and take a look? Suren nodded and said, okay. The two of them continued walking forward, and they didn't walk for long. At this time, a quarrel suddenly came from behind. Let go, this stone is the one we like first. The two looked back and saw that the two brothers Cao Bufan seemed to be arguing with someone over a stone. These two are really capable of causing trouble. Xiao Ding was a little angry. Let's go and take a look. If they cause trouble, you should be implicated. Xiao Ding was also helpless. If the person he brought to the island causes trouble, he will be the unlucky one. The owner of Liulai Island will not show mercy to such people who cannot manage their subordinates well. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, how like the human world. Chapter 149. What's wrong with you? Xiao Ding and Suren squeezed through the crowd and looked at the two of them. Boss Xiao, this person is competing with us for this stone. My brothers were the first to take a liking to it. Xiao Ding looked at the person opposite and said with some surprise. Chang Shen, long time no see. Suren looked at this man. He had a fat head, big ears, and a general belly. He is not tall, but his aura is not comparable to that of ordinary people. At first glance, he seems to be the kind of person who is used to being pampered and pampered. Xiao Ding. So it's you, are these two your people? Xiao Ding nodded and said, not bad. Xiao Ding, how come your men don't even understand the rules of stone gambling? They didn't pay, so why do they think this stone belongs to them? Boss Xiao went to do other business, wouldn't he even forget this? Zhou Changsheng had obviously known Xiao Ding for a long time, and even knew his past very well. Haha, my subordinates don't know the rules, so I'll give this stone to you. Cao Bufan and the other two were about to object when they heard this, but Boss Zhou spoke first. Wait a minute, Xiao Ding, why are you still like you before? Do I need you to let me go? Why don't you give up this cooperation with Caesar's group to me? Chang Shen, you must have seen me come in a long time ago. Xiao Ding understood it just by looking at the stone. This time he misunderstood brother Cao Bufan. He had seen this stone. The energy raw stone inside is about the same price as the stone. It was impossible for Zhou Changshen not to see that he was deliberately looking for trouble. Hey, so what? Also, my full name is Zhou Changshen, don't get close to me. Xiao Ding shook his head and didn't want to talk to him anymore. What happened back then had been so long ago that he didn't want to dwell on it anymore. Boss Xiao, is this stone okay? Cao Bufan asked nervously at this time. Exchange it for one, the stuff inside isn't worth the price. This. Cao Bufan was a little reluctant to part with it. They looked at it for a long time before choosing it. Now that someone is robbing it, they are even more convinced that there is something good inside. Now he was asked to change, and he was not very willing, but Xiao Ding had said so, and he was still prepared to believe him once. Just as Cao Bufan hesitated, Zhou Changshen rolled his eyes, sneered, then snatched the stone from Cao Bufan's hand and said, "You don't want me to want it?" When Cao Bufan saw the stone being robbed, he said angrily, "Give it back to me, who said I don't want it?" Cao Bushuan on the side quickly grabbed it and hugged the stone tightly. The stone was snatched away, and Zhou Changsheng showed a pity expression. When the two brothers saw him like this, they immediately suspected that Xiao Ding was lying to them. After all, the two sides had a bad time today, and it seemed normal that Xiao Ding didn't want them to get rich. "Waiter, we want this stone." Cao Bufan shouted and called the service staff in Liulican. Then he took out his card and swiped 800 million to go out. To be honest, the price was a bit painful for them, but thinking that there might be good things inside, the two of them became excited again. When Zhou Changsheng saw this, he no longer bothered him, but looked like he was watching a good show. Xiao Ding sighed and shook his head. He had already told the two of them, but they couldn't blame him for not listening. Does it need to be cut on site? The waiter asked. Cut. Okay, come with me. The onlookers also walked over. This was the first stone sold this afternoon. Although the price is average for people like them, who doesn't like to see the excitement? The knowledgeable people want to see a joke. Shall we go there? Xiao Ding looked at Suren. Let's see, it's my first time to see cut stones. By the way, does that person have any grudge against you? Suren was not stupid, and he could naturally tell that Zhou Changsheng was deliberately trying to cause trouble for Xiao Ding. The two Cao Bufan brothers were just tools he used to discuss Xiao Ding. However, he may not have expected that Xiao Ding did not have a good relationship with these two people. His performance actually made Xiao Ding feel bad. Suren has already seen it. The stone is only the size of a fist-sized raw energy stone. If nothing else happens, Cao Bufan and the two of them will lose 700 million yuan. Xiao Ding shook his head and smiled bitterly. He and I were brothers back then, closer than real brothers. We practiced leveling together and joined the stone betting industry together. At that time, we talked about everything. We are looking forward to a bright future together and thinking about becoming bigger and stronger together. When Xiao Ding said this, memories appeared in his eyes. Then he sighed. But one time we had a disagreement and it was a stone worth 5 billion. The two of us struggled for several years to save 2.5 billion each. He insisted on buying the stone and asked me and him to pay half. I refused because I saw a flaw and I told him, but he thought I was lying to him and wanted to keep it for myself. I tried to persuade him countless times but he refused to listen and insisted on buying it. I tried to persuade him to no avail and could only shake my head and leave. Because that money is my start-up capital, I will not gamble that stone. And after? Suren asked curiously. Logically speaking, there should be no conflict between the two of them in this situation. Zhou Changsheng didn't listen to him. Even if he couldn't buy the stone, he shouldn't hold a grudge against Xiao Ding. Later, he borrowed 2.5 billion from somewhere and bought the stone. You can probably guess the result. He lost all his money, and in the end he had no money to repay his debt. I heard he was arrested and tortured for several years. I wanted to take money to save him, but my brother threatened to die and refused to let me do so. Speaking of this, Xiao Ding sighed again. I feel sorry for him about this. Later on, he made money somewhere and opened countless chain stores across the country. You should have heard of it. It's called Zhou Changsheng Jewelry. Suren nodded. Zhou Changsheng's main jewelry business is all kinds of energy rough stones. It can be found in basically every big city. Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore, it's all in the past. The two of them followed the crowd of onlookers and walked towards the cutting place of the rough stone. At this time, the service staff obtained the consent of the two brothers and began to cut the 800 million stone. It is said that it is cutting, but it is actually different from the jade cutting that Suren imagined. This cut is more like a grinding and polishing. He will grind away the stone encasing the energy raw stone until the complete raw stone inside is revealed. Because if a piece of raw stone is chopped, the energy inside will dissipate. This is the biggest difference from jade cutting. The cutting of energy rough stones requires special care. However, people who can work here will naturally not destroy the raw energy stones inside. In less than 5 minutes, 2/3 of the nearly half-meter high stone was worn away. As the stone shrank, the faces of Cao Bufan and Cao Bufan became increasingly ugly. Why haven't you seen the original stone yet? Cao Buffon stared at the smaller and smaller stones, showing unwillingness. I changed my profession and became a concept god, shocking the world with one knife. Author, How Like the Human World. Chapter 150. At this time, the people watching around started talking. No, now we lose 100 million every time we cut a layer. Well, it depends on how many layers can be cut off. I think this stone will cost at least 500 million. I can see that these two people's faces are green. It seems that this money is quite a lot for them. Haha, they are just two warriors. What do you know about gambling on stones? Didn't Xiao Ding remind them just now? They can't blame others if they don't listen. When Cao Buffon and the other two heard the discussions around them, their expressions became even uglier. The two of them glanced at Zhou Changsheng, who was standing aside. The other party was looking at him with a smile at this time, and the sarcasm was obvious. You do this deliberately. Cao Buffon looked at Zhou Changsheng angrily. This man had been deliberately inducing them to buy the stone since they entered the house. No matter how stupid they are, they can still see Zhou Changsheng's evil intentions. It's just that it's too late now. Once the stone is purchased, there is no way to get a refund. Haha, you can't say that. I already told you that I want it if you don't want it, but you insist on grabbing it. Can you blame me? Zhou Changsheng looked innocent, but his expression was sarcastic no matter how you looked at it. You. Cao Buffon gave him a sharp look. Our brothers remember you, Zhou Changsheng, right? Donghai Academy is not someone to be trifled with. It turns out he's from Donghai Academy. Why am I talking so loudly? Zhou Changsheng pretended to be scared and said. I'm really afraid of Donghai Academy. After Zhou Changsheng finished speaking, he suddenly showed a fierce smile and said. Please kill me, otherwise, you will be the ones who die. Everyone present felt the air become cold when they heard this. The man following Zhou Changsheng even glanced at Cao Buffon and Cao Buffon. Suren glanced curiously at the man behind Zhou Changsheng. His aura was hidden so deeply that he couldn't see his strength clearly. Feeling Suren's gaze, the man also glanced back at Suren. It seems that Zhou Changsheng must have joined some big force this time, and then he suddenly rose to prominence. It can make Zhou Changsheng's worth rise to the forefront of the Dragon Kingdom in a short period of time. This power should not be underestimated. Suren glanced at the man again, then looked back at the stone being cut. After several rounds of cutting, the final half-meter-long stone was only the size of a fist. Looking at the jade-like energy stone, the two Cao Buffon brothers felt their hearts bleed. Ha ha ha, congratulations to you two, it's worth 80 million. Put it away quickly, don't let anyone snatch it away. Zhou Changsheng looked gloating, and then glanced at Xiao Ding, wanting to see Xiao Ding's reaction. In the end, he was disappointed. Xiao Ding had no expression and even wanted to laugh. Xiao Ding, no matter how calm you are, I will make you regret your original choice today. Cao Buffon put away the energy stone, stood up and glanced at Zhou Changsheng again, and then looked at Xiao Ding. He finally figured out that the root of all this still lies with Xiao Ding. This person just wanted to humiliate Xiao Ding by insulting them. However, Xiao Ding had already told them that the stone could not be bought, so they could not say anything. Anyway, these two brothers have a grudge. Let's go and look elsewhere. Xiao Ding was no longer in the mood to play here anymore, so he called everyone and was about to leave. But then Zhou Changsheng took a step forward and said. Stop. Xiao Ding, I want to make a bet with you today. The bet is 2.5 billion. If Caesar's group cooperates with you, I will take 50% of the profit. If I lose, I will also give you 2.5 billion. If I can cooperate with Caesar's group, I will also share half of the profit with you. Do you dare or not? Wow! Upon hearing this bet,
Everyone around them exclaimed in surprise. 2.5 billion is nothing, but half of the profit after cooperating with Caesars Group is an astronomical figure. The stakes are not small. Now there are only 4 companies in Longguo qualified to cooperate with Caesars Group. Dingsheng Group and Zhou Changsheng Jewelry, which has recently begun to expand its business, are 2 of them. There is still a good chance that they can cooperate with Caesars Group. Xiao Ding sighed when he heard the number 2.5 billion. Everyone thought Zhou Changsheng was here for Caesars Group, but only he understood. Zhou Changsheng came here for these 2.5 billion, and for these decades of grievances. Is this really going to be the case between us, Changsheng? Xiao Ding, stop pretending to be a good person for me. Do you know how I got here these past few decades? Where were you when I was desperate? Tell me, where were you? Why are you pretending to be a good person to me now? Xiao Ding didn't say anything. He knew that he felt ashamed of Zhou Changsheng for this matter. After Zhou Changsheng finished speaking, he said coldly. We each choose a stone today, and the purchase price is within 1 billion. Whoever's stone is more valuable will win. I want to get that 2.5 billion back with my own hands. Xiao Ding looked at him, and after a long time, he slowly nodded and said. Okay, I'll bet. Ha 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 ha. Very good, I have been waiting for this day for a long time. Zhou Changsheng had a look of madness on his face, and then walked away from everyone to the place where the stones were displayed. This time, he wants to prove himself. Do you really want to bet with him? Your current state is not suitable. Suren looked at Xiao Ding, his mental state was obviously not right. If you are careless about something like stone gambling, you may be in trouble. Don't worry, I know what's going on. In the hall, more and more people were watching, after hearing that the bet was related to the Caesars Group. Everyone began to look forward to it. I heard that both of them started their careers by gambling, so I saw some of them this time. I think Zhou Changsheng has a better chance of winning. He has been immersed in energy raw stones for many years, and his experience is definitely better than Xiao Ding. As for Xiao Ding, it seems that he hasn't been involved in the energy stone business for decades, right? I don't think he has much chance of winning. These 2 people are also considered celebrities in the rich circle, and everyone wants to know who of the 2 can win. But except Suren, who knows that these 2 people are gambling for the 2.5 billion. Time passed by, and 10 minutes later, Zhou Changsheng was the first to take a fancy to a stone that was nearly 1 meter high. Then I spent money and bought it directly. Xiao Ding glanced at the stone, and then silently selected a stone that was only a little over half a meter long. After the 2 paid the bill, they walked to the cutting area with the stones in their arms. Hey, it started. This trip is worthwhile, to be able to see such a shocking gamble. The crowd of onlookers seemed more excited than the 2 people betting on the stone. Who comes first? Zhou Changsheng glanced at the stone Xiao Ding selected, and then asked confidently. You came first before, let me go first this time. When Zhou Changsheng heard this, a flash of reminiscence flashed in his eyes, and then he quickly shook his head to get rid of these memories. Okay, I'll let you go first this time.